Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. We're grateful for each and every one of you. Let us know where in the world you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you in the comments. Let's begin. There's a distinct sound to betrayal. It's not screaming. It's not even the slamming of a door. For me, it was the soft, deliberate click of suitcase wheels rolling over hardwood, followed by the sharp echo of her heels, fading down the hallway like a countdown to the end of everything. Her name was Sabrina Keller, and I'd spent nearly a decade believing she was my forever. She was 34, magnetic, wildly spontaneous, always one step ahead of me. I'm Caleb Wright, 31, history teacher, structure guy. My world runs on bullet points and predictable routines. Hers ran on instinct and glitter. 3 years in a marriage, I thought we had built something real. Not perfect, but real. Until the weekend, she decided to disappear without asking. Just inform me. Going to Vermont with Clara and Janelle, she said on a Tuesday night, barely looking up from her phone. I blinked. This weekend? That's our anniversary. Sabrina smirked. It's just a date, Caleb. Don't be dramatic. It's not like I forgot your birthday or crashed your car. By Friday morning, she was gone. No kiss. No goodbye. Not even a glance. Just the rhythmic click of her heels, like nails in the coffin of our marriage. I stood there, stunned, with a travel mug in my hand and a knot in my chest. I still said, "Love you," as the elevator closed. She never replied. That night, the silence in our apartment wasn't just quiet. It was orchestrated. Cold. Intentional. Her lipstick still stained the wine glass by the sink. Her sandals still near the door. But all felt like props now. Reminders. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Sent a text. Just checking in. Let me know you're safe. Nothing. Sleep never came. Just that ache in my chest. The eerie stillness of a home that used to feel like hers too. On Saturday, our anniversary, I accepted an invite to my buddy Miles' lake house. He said it was a casual barbecue. Maybe a little company would dull the edge. I tried. I really did. But then came the moment that changed everything. I overheard a stranger, Tessa, a friend of Miles' girlfriend, mention Sabrina's name. She's with some guy at a resort up north, she said, laughing, scrolling her phone. My heart stopped. Sabrina Keller? I asked. Tessa glanced up. You know her. She's my wife. Tessa turned white. Oh my God. I thought. I'm so sorry. I thought you guys split. She handed me her phone. It was a short video. An Instagram story. There was Sabrina, wearing that red top I bought her last Christmas, straddling the shoulders of a man I'd never seen before. Champagne in hand. Her fingers grazed his neck. She laughed. That laugh. That flirtatious laugh. Then she leaned in, blew a kiss to the camera. The caption? Weekend escapes hit different when you're not alone. Face blowing a kiss. Hashtag Killington. Hashtag no regrets. I felt like I'd been kicked in the stomach. It wasn't even the betrayal that hit hardest. It was how public it was. Like she wanted to be seen. Like I was an afterthought. I handed the phone back without a word. The sky lit up with fireworks above the lake. Cheers all around me. But I couldn't see anything anymore. The moment I walked into Jordan Ellison's law office on Sunday morning, I felt something click inside me. Like a gear turning for the first time in years. No more confusion. No more pacing the kitchen at 3 a.m. No more wondering where she was. Or who she was laughing with. I was done. Jordan was sharp, direct, and didn't blink when I told him, she's having an affair. I want this filed immediately. He didn't ask for backstory. He asked for proof. I slid my phone across the table like it was evidence in a murder trial. Because that's what it felt like. Sabrina had murdered the version of love I believed we had. That video is still public, he asked. I nodded. It's been up for 18 hours. Everyone's seen it. Just not her husband. Apparently. He clicked through it. Face unreadable. This makes things cleaner. We'll include it in the filing. And we'll move fast. I watched him draft paperwork like a man, carving my grief into something solid. Legal documents, court dates, asset lists. It was cold and strangely comforting. I signed without hesitation. Then I made a call. A deliberate one. Hey, Clara, I said when she picked up. Oh, hey, Caleb. When Sabrina checks in with you, because she will, just tell her this. The divorce has been filed. That's all. She'll understand. Silence. Then confusion. Wait, what? I'm serious. Just those words. The divorce has been filed. Don't elaborate. You two always seemed. We're not, I said. Haven't been for a long time. I ended the call before she could say more. And then I waited. It didn't take long. 10 minutes later, my phone began lighting up. First with Sabrina's name. Then her texts. One after another. Sabrina. Clara said something weird. Please call me. This isn't funny, Caleb. What you doing? I didn't respond. The sun dipped low across 12th Street. I brewed coffee I didn't need. Stared out the window at strangers, living lives I suddenly envied for their simplicity. And for the first time in ages, I felt something like power. Not over her, but over myself. By the next morning, her calls were rapid fire. I waited until 8:17 a.m. to answer. The moment I said hello, she broke. Caleb, she said, voice cracking like brittle ice. Are you serious? You filed for divorce. Silence on my end. Please say something. I didn't. She sobbed now. I don't understand. What did I do that was so unforgivable? I exhaled. You'll find out in court. She laughed bitterly, a hollow sound. This is insane. This is over a dumb story. There was a man in that story, Sabrina. His hand around your waist. Your eyes looking into the camera, like I didn't exist. It was nothing, she snapped. A joke. We were just messing around. You tagged the resort. Publicly. You wanted to be seen. You just didn't expect me to be the one who saw it. There was a pause. Then her voice softened. I didn't think you'd even notice. And that, I said, is exactly why we're done. She started begging then. I can fix this. Caleb, please. I'll come home. We can talk. I'll delete the post. I'll do anything. No, I said. You had your chances. I waited through every dinner you skipped. Every time you pretended work was the reason you stopped coming home. I gave you space. You filled it with someone else. I was confused, she whispered. I lost myself. You didn't lose anything, I replied. You chose something else. And now I'm choosing too. She cried harder. But I didn't. I just hung up and poured myself a fresh cup of coffee that, for once, didn't taste like regret. 3 days later, I ran into Tessa, the woman from the party, at a corner cafe near 7th Avenue. She was sitting alone by the window, almond latte in hand, a novel tucked beneath her elbow. She spotted me, gave a small wave. I hesitated, then stepped inside. Caleb, right? She asked, cautious. Yeah, mind if I sit? Only if you help me finish this terrible scone, she said, pushing a plate across the table. I smiled. A real one. We talked about everything but my marriage. At first, she teased my old flannel. I mocked her bad taste in pastries. It was normal, and it felt like oxygen. Eventually, she said, I'm sorry again, for showing you that video. I didn't mean to. I don't know, ruin your night. I shook my head. You didn't ruin anything. You just lit the fuse. She looked down at her tea. I've been there. With someone drifting away. Pretending you're not the last to notice. I looked at her closely now. You've lived this. She nodded. 3 years ago. Different faces. Same silence. Same pretending. She scribbled her number on a napkin. Not expecting anything, she said. But if you ever need someone who understands. I do, I told her. More than you know. There's a strange kind of quiet that settles over you before something life-changing happens. Not the loud chaos you'd expect. Just stillness. Me, sitting in a wood-paneled courtroom that smelled like polished floors and disappointment. Beside me, Jordan, my attorney, flipped calmly through a folder thick with our life reduced to bullet points. Across the aisle, the door opened. Sabrina walked in. She looked like the storm she'd created had finally hit her. Hair tied into a bun that was more panic than polish. Makeup uneven. Her navy dress creased like it had been pulled from a suitcase too fast. No wedding ring. Our eyes met for half a second. She froze, then broke eye contact like it burned. I didn't move. The hearing was swift. Surgical. Jordan presented the proof. Dates, texts, financial records. Then came the screen capture. The story. That video. Frozen on a frame that said everything words never could. Sabrina, mid-laugh, tilted into another man's shoulder. Wine in one hand, mischief in her smile. A timestamp. A location tag. Her hand brushing his chest. The caption projected on the courtroom monitor read, Vacation hits different with the right company face blowing a kiss. Her lawyer, a frazzled man named Dennis Fields, rose like he didn't believe in his own objection. This lacks context, Your Honor. The judge, a stern, silver-haired woman named Justice Maria Glenn, raised an eyebrow. The context is a caption, a kiss emoji, and a tagged resort. If there's another explanation, I'm all ears. There wasn't. Dennis sat down. Sabrina looked like she wanted to disappear into the seat. Then, just before the final signatures, she stood. Your Honor, I need to speak. To him. Justice Glenn didn't stop her. Go ahead, but be brief. Sabrina turned toward me, hands shaking. Caleb, I didn't know what I was doing. I got caught up. I wanted to feel something. Anything. And in doing that, I destroyed everything that ever mattered. I destroyed you. I didn't flinch. Tears poured freely now. I wasn't trying to replace you. I was just trying to find myself. And I got lost. I looked at her the way one might look at a song they used to love, before realizing the lyrics meant nothing. You were always too good for me, she whispered. And I hated you for it. Because I couldn't live up to you. Jordan touched my arm, a silent cue. Don't respond. But I stood. Not for her. For me. You didn't destroy me, Sabrina, I said. You set me free. She gasped like it physically hurt. Then I turned and walked out. Tessa was waiting outside. She hadn't promised to come. But there she was, leaning against the railing, hair tucked behind one ear, a quiet strength in her eyes. You okay? She asked. I didn't answer. Just kept walking. She followed. When we reached the steps, I paused. The weight in my chest was gone. I am now, I finally said. Tessa smiled faintly. You look like you needed someone who wouldn't flinch. I nodded. Thank you. Where are you headed? Not sure, I admitted, but I'm done going in circles. She reached in her bag and pulled out 2 to-go coffees. I figure it might go either way. You really don't like scones, huh? Traumatized, she smirked. We laughed, this time without bitterness. The next weeks were strange. Quiet, but a better kind of quiet. Sabrina didn't try to contact me again, but she did post something. A long, tearful apology video. Cropped just right. Tears balanced on her lashes. Not falling. To anyone I've hurt, especially you. No name. No ownership. Just performance. Her comments were mixed. Sympathy from strangers. Skepticism from others. But I didn't care. I had what I needed. Distance. And clarity. I spent more time outdoors. Read more. Ate like food had flavor again. Laughed with students at school. I even started writing again. Something I'd abandoned years ago when life got too predictable. And once a week, I met Tessa at that cafe. No pressure. No declarations. Just 2 people who had survived the same storm, sitting across from each other and quietly learning how to breathe again. But something was still simmering underneath. Not anger. Purpose. See, Sabrina didn't just cheat on me. She lied, stole time, used our marriage like a performance piece. Only I hadn't known I was cast in it. And I wasn't done. Not yet. Because sometimes, justice isn't served in court. Sometimes it's crafted, brick by brick. Revenge doesn't have to be loud to be effective. It doesn't need explosions or screaming matches. Sometimes, the most devastating revenge is the quiet kind. The kind that's carefully orchestrated, slow burning, and delivered with precision. After the divorce was finalized, Sabrina tried to paint herself as the wounded party. Her Instagram rebranded overnight. No more champagne toasts or cryptic captions. Now is filtered selfies with tearful eyes and long posts about growth, healing, and learning to let go. She curated her downfall like a Pinterest board. She began accepting speaking gigs. Yes, really, as a voice for women who'd lost themselves in the expectations of marriage. One of her reels had over 700K views. In it, she said, sometimes, when you're trapped in a life that feels too small, you make mistakes. But those mistakes don't define you. It was scripted, groomed, false. And yet, people were eating it up. Even Goodview magazine, a mid-tier digital platform, ran a feature, From Betrayal to Bravery, Sabrina Keller's reclamation journey. That's when I decided no. No, you don't get to rewrite the ending while the person you hurt stays silent. You want a platform? Fine. I'll make sure truth is part of it. It started with one email. To the editor of Goodview. Hi. I read your profile on Sabrina Keller. I believe you may have been misled. I have documentation that offers a very different timeline of events. Instagram posts, video screenshots, timestamps, and court proceedings. If you're interested in telling both sides of the story, I'd be willing to share. Caleb writes, I didn't expect a response, but I got one in 3 hours. The article went live a week later. Title: The Other Side of the Story. What Sabrina Keller's ex-husband has to say. It was calm, professional, detailed, no anger, just truth, laid out with evidence. Side-by-side comparisons of her Instagram stories versus the actual court filings. Direct quotes from her captions, contrasted with testimony and dates. Even a closing paragraph from the journalist that read, Everyone is entitled to growth. But growth doesn't come from denial. It comes from honesty. The response? Nuclear. Her comments section imploded. People started connecting dots, realizing timelines didn't match, noticing how conveniently her narrative avoided specifics. And the sponsorships? The self-help podcast invites? Gone. One by one, her carefully rebuilt empire crumbled. Not by my hand, but by her own inconsistencies. All I had done was lift the curtain. One night, I found a message request in my inbox. It was from her. Sabrina, was it worth it? Tearing me down like this? I stared at the screen for a long time, then typed back. You did that on your own. I just stopped cleaning up after you. I never heard from her again. Meanwhile, something entirely different was blooming in my life. Tessa. She never pushed, never pried. But one evening, as we sat on a bench at Franklin Park, she asked softly, was it satisfying? I didn't pretend not to know what she meant. I nodded. Yeah, but not for the reasons I expected. Because you won? No, I said. Because I stopped losing. She reached out and took my hand. Good. Because that version of you, the one who lets people chip away at him quietly, I don't want to meet him again. I smiled. Neither do I. In the months that followed, I changed more than I thought I could. I took a sabbatical from teaching and launched a small online course in historical storytelling, one of my dreams. It took off. I learned to cook better than microwave meals. I moved into a new apartment. Smaller, quieter, but mine. Every item in it was chosen, not carried over from a life that no longer fit. And slowly, Tessa became more than just the woman who'd handed me truth at a barbecue. She became my truth. A year later, I ran into Sabrina one last time. It wasn't planned. It wasn't dramatic. It was Tuesday. I was walking through a quiet part of Midtown, on my way to meet Tessa for lunch, when I stepped into a bookstore to grab a title on early American folklore I'd been meaning to read. She was near the entrance, alone, no camera, no audience. She looked ordinary, not the woman who used to dominate a room, in stilettos and scarlet lipstick. Her hair was flat, tucked into a faded beanie. She wore no makeup. Her hands were deep in her pockets. When she turned and saw me, her breath hitched. Caleb. I didn't flinch. Sabrina. We stood there in the silence of old pages and muted jazz overhead. You look good, she said quietly. Thanks. I read the article, she added after a beat. The second one, the one where you told the truth. I waited. I deserved it, she admitted. I've told myself a lot of lies over the last year. But the hardest truth was realizing you never retaliated out of cruelty. You just let people see who I really was. She paused. Did you ever love me? I could have said something poetic or sharp, but I chose honest. Yes, I loved you enough to let go when holding on would have made me someone I wasn't proud of. Tears rimmed her eyes. I'm sorry. I know, I said, but I stopped needing that to move forward. She looked down. I don't know who I am without the version of me you once believed in. That's your journey now, I said, and you'll figure out. Just not with me. I walked out before she could say anything else. Tessa was waiting outside the cafe with 2 coffees. When she saw me, she grinned. Late again. That's twice in a row. I'm starting to think you like keeping me on edge. I got stopped by a ghost, I said lightly. She tilted her head. Haunting or closure? Closure, I said. Good, she replied. Because I need your full emotional bandwidth today. I got us tickets to that weird outdoor theater thing you love. I blinked. You hate those. She laughed. I do. But I don't hate the look on your face when you talk about them. We sat down at our usual sidewalk table. As I sipped my coffee, Tessa leaned forward, resting her chin in her hand. You ever wonder why it took so much pain to get us something this good? She asked. I looked at her for a long moment. Her freckles, her laugh lines, the way she saw me, not as a wounded man, but a man who chose to heal. It's not about the pain, I said. It's about what we do with it. She smiled, and I realized for the first time in my life that everything, the betrayal, the silence, the court dates, the heartbreak, it all led here. To peace. To truth. To her. That night, I posted something for the first time in a year. Just a single photo. Me and Tessa, laughing under string lights, coffee cups in hand. No hashtags. No long captions. No revenge. Just one sentence. Healing isn't loud. It's real. And it was. Finally.